Calling to order the joint meeting of the Finance and Capital Facilities Committee meeting. And we have Finance Committee members Brenda Hastings, Pamela Walsh, Bob Cotton, and Kate West. And Capital Facilities Committee's Chair, Barb Higgins, and members David Parker, Bob Cotton, and Pam Walsh.
Yeah.
And if everyone's okay, I'll turn it over to Jack to go through. Oh, and also joining us are board members Gina Cannon and Jim Richards. Turn it over to Jack to review potential bond schedules for a middle school project.
Okay. So, I will get to my, so our agenda tonight is just to look at two preliminary bond schedules. If you've heard me say before, when we did your project 10 years ago, we did 29 different sets of bond schedules. So this isn't, we'll reinforce this over and over again, and it's just massaging and getting to the right place. But your number that you submitted for building aid was 176 million. And if there was to be 40% of that, the net result would be coming up with 105.6 million. So these are all the raw numbers right now. I'll talk about the bond funding instruments and then a proposed motion for discussion only as it relates to starting to fund this, and I'll get more into that shortly. So you have the handout in front of you. There are two handouts, and this is tied to the back of your presentation as well. And I'm going to put it on the screen for those that might be having difficulty so that you can read this. So there's one that's labeled 176 million up top, 30-year EP 176 million, and then there's another one that's labeled 30-year EP, that stands for equal principal, 105.6 million. This assumes that you got 70.4 in building aid. I'm going to start with the full boat, 176 million. Starting from the left, it talks about the fiscal year, and then it talks about your existing debt. And then this doesn't include if there was any other debt. So say, for example, you had an HVAC project that you wanted to add to this, something of significant of 20 or 30 years. I have places for that. So you see column H, your cumulative debt. Then you see column I at 176 million. This is what that payment schedule would look like for 30 years. And when you take your existing debt and the project, you get L, the total service debt, which would be 15.7 million in year one. Okay? The tax impact, so the amount per thousand that's paid just to cover that debt, is $3.41 of the tax rate. We have a projected city valuation of 4.6 billion. I assume a 0.25% growth, very conservative growth rate for the next, 40 years or so here. Then I assume a 3.04% district increase in the budget. That 96,316,405 is your current year budget. And then I assumed about a 2% growth rate in, if I took 5% of the budget and continue to show this is how much the debt service portion would be of the school district budget. Then your over-under is the amount that you need in addition to what is already earmarked for 5%. So right now you'd need an extra 10.9 million than what you put away now. So 5% of the general fund is $1.04 is what you're earmarking. Okay, see that in column R? Mm-hmm. Column S is how much over you are of that 5%, which is $2.37.
So the total would be, that's the 341, is the total.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So the amount over 5% that's already built in, that right now you're in a savings mode and putting away, the amount you'll be over on a home assessed at $324,005, which was the last year assessment that the average home in Concord was, you'd need an additional $767.89 to pay for that debt in year one.
And that's not using any of the stabilization.
It's using nothing.
Okay.
So just because we like real-time and dynamic, fun stuff. Yes.
Before we get to real-time dynamic stuff,
Yeah,
for those of us who struggle beyond our household budget,
sure.
if the school budget grows, sorry, if the school budget growth is 3%, the debt service at 5%, wouldn't that grow at the same rate? Because it's 5%, and so the underlying is growing at 3, so the,
Not necessarily, because it doesn't function the same way. We use equal principal for our debt. We don't use a level debt payment. You know how your mortgage is the exact same for 15 or 30 years?
well, except for the taxes.
Well, yeah, exactly, except for the taxes. We don't get taxed here. It's the other way. So it's a conservative estimate that I put in there, because I can't say it's going to be 5% growth or 3% growth.
Okay. I totally don't understand that.
We'll have a
Smile and nod.
one-on-one.
Just smile and nod.
No, that's okay, I can ask you later.
That's fine. Okay, so you can see in column K that I have the balance of your, it's really 10,200,000, but I'm just rounding right now. If I wanted to take and apply 5 million to that first year, you could see, oops, sorry, needs to be negative. Tells you you have 5 million left in your fund. If you applied 5 million, now you're looking at a $417 increase versus a $767 increase. What you do is you use that money to smooth out the impact.
Can I ask why would we not use the whole 10 to smooth that out even more?
You can, but then you just, so if we do the 10, right?
You want smooth, you'd go.
All you're doing is delaying your spike. You're going from $64 to
I see.
$735.
Okay, where's
So,
the half?
We're looking to
Okay.
smooth.
Yep,
Mhm.
all right. That makes sense, thank you.
Now, this is also, do what you gotta do and build a school. This is no state aid, this is no grants, this is no net zero. This is, doesn't matter, just go and do it. That's what this is. We know this is not realistic, but we gotta start from, the top of the mountain and work our way down here. Start at the bottom and work our way up, however we wanna use your acronyms here. So, now I'm gonna, does that make sense? Because this same thing applies to the next schedule. The only difference is I've applied building aid to it, okay? So if we go to the next schedule, all the same information, except column I now has 105,600,000. Because that, if I take 40%, that's about the balance that's left. So this schedule is based on 105 million. And you can see, instead of the $767 increase, it's now 411. So I need 5 million, 5.8 million more. And if I wanted to apply 5 million to the first year, you could see the $61. If you wanted to go and you say 3.5 million. Oops, not 350,000. And you could take a little bits out and get to the right place to smooth out those increases and not go above a certain way. I will tell you this, I have ran this scenario at 90 to 100 million, and if you've got full building aid, I can build this with no tax increase.
Can
Say
you
that again.
Explain that.
You've already run this set of numbers,
Yeah,
right?
at
And that's
90
why
million.
you can reduce.
And I can
a
get
little
to
bit of
where
those.
there isn't an impact, yeah.
If we brought the cost down to 90 million
Yeah.
with building aid.
One of the things Matt and I have been benchmarking against is the Nashua project. That came in at about $390 a square foot. So they're at like 78 million right now, and that's a 6 through 8, 800 student school.
Is there a
Looking to
cap
build
on the
a
building
900.
aid,
40%. That's what our entitlement.
but no dollar cap?
No. Oh, well,
But
depends
what's
on what it
what's
is.
available.
Yeah, and it depends on what, there's some things are, you know, like land acquisition, there's certain things you have to do, and,
Right.
and others it can run the gamut. It depends on what the charge is for,
Okay.
so.
Jack,
Yeah.
in that scenario to get down 90 million, what does that mean 176 would come down to given building aid? We would have to cut,
Well, remember, that includes acquisition of land, prepping land, knocking down a building, bringing in somebody else to run the project. There's a lot of things in there that are,
but if we could get it down to 155 million, we'll see what the.
yeah, I think there's still a lot of open things, but, you know, we have to see how the economy does, supply. We were talking at the Capital Facilities last week about a warehouse, pre-buying things, doing a construction manager, which is what the Nashua project did. Is there a way to really massage this and get it down to a reasonable number? Because yeah, obviously the 176 is extremely challenging.
So you just need to really sharpen your pencil.
That
Right?
better have a good eraser on it. Yeah, let me just see something here. Sorry, I'm just playing. Yeah. So, 96 million. If you got 40%, and you had a $57.6 million building, and you have 10 million in your account, there you go. There's no increase.
Wait, a 57.6 million?
Well, if you take 96, take 40%, you'd have the
So
bond.
he's taking it from 176 to
57.6 million.
90
Million.
million. That's
So it's a big
having
cut.
it.
Yeah.
It's a big change.
Yeah.
No, it's a huge change.
I'm not sure that's realistic.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Nashva's building a 6 to 8 middle school, 800
Yeah.
kids, 220,000 square feet. You're at 213,000 and 176 on estimates.
So,
That's real. What I'm saying
did they
is
lock in prices before?
they have a construction manager.
Okay, so
So, you know, here they are. They're actually building now. You're at least a year away from that, right? A year and a half away.
Yeah.
What's it look like? I mean, escalation had been at about 1.5% a month, which isn't great. But all I'm trying to say is there's a wide thing right now, and
Okay.
you know, sometimes people don't know what it's going to look like next month. We were hearing lead times of almost a year for HVAC equipment. A lot of unknowns. But I'm trying to benchmark off of what's really happening and what can we do. So I just basically put the uprights up for this game. All right. But I just wanted to show you that there's some possibilities.
anyone have any other questions? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn the joint meeting? Is that all you had, Jack?
No, sorry, 1 second.
He's got a little more.
I just wanted to.
Yeah, that would have been
Did
too
that-
easy.
Try to keep this on schedule.
Nope, no, it's more, just want to explain some of the funding instruments to use, very similar to what we did before. So they have what's called bond anticipation notes, where this is going and telling the market that you are looking to bond in the future, but you need some startup capital now, almost like a construction. To do that now, and be able to fund some of this initial thing as it relates to an architect and prepping for actual construction. So similar to a construction loan, when you go and you build your house, then you roll it into a regular loan. Very similar. The long-term funding instrument will likely be used as a general obligation bond. And then there's a couple different levels. The two we focus on is level debt, which is similar to a mortgage, and then equal principal, which is what the district uses. So you hear me when I say in the budget that the debt, when your debt goes down, we have that differential and we'll put money away. It's because of the method that the district has been using, because your debt goes down every year. Unlike a mortgage, when you get that mortgage payment, unless you refi, it's all the same amount.
So the debt goes down, but we continue to pay it
Right.
by saving money.
Right, we said, because we earmark in your budget
Right.
5% of the general fund,
Right.
and whatever the debt is, that differential, you put into savings.
Right, right.
That's the reason you have $10 million in the bank. So that this way, when the next project comes, it doesn't hit taxpayers as bad. Because they've been paying the same amount. Less increases. It was developed by a board member in 2005, and boards have just been keeping going with it. And it makes sense. It's really puts you
No,
in a
it's like
place
you
to
keep
be able
making
to-
a car payment after you've paid your car off, and then you've got money to buy a new car. Like, it's a really, really smart way to save
Yeah.
money.
So-
I don't do it, but I mean,
Right, yeah, I know the reality is, but the boards have been disciplined so far to do it, and it comes back to really help. So, bond council had put this together. Again, this is just sample language, we'll talk in the future, but there is a whole process for bonding. This isn't you just do this and then we go out and get money. It's not a credit card offer that comes in the mail, I will tell you that. With a 0% offer, all right? And that's all I have.
thank you, Jack.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any questions? Anyone have anything else? A motion to adjourn the joint
So
meeting?
moved.
So moved. So,
Moved by Ms. Higgins, seconded by Ms. Hastings. All in favor?
aye.
All right, I'm gonna turn the gavel back